Segment 3 is transition. Transition has the second most influence on your ball flight of the 6 segments. Obviously, the two segments after impact don't have a direct influence. They can't because they're post-impact, but indirectly they do. Takeaway, we said, was number 1. A very close second in terms of influencing the ball flight is your transition. It's far and away the most difficult segment of the golf swing to learn. It's the one that tends to get off track quite often, even for tour pros. So it's sort of a high maintenance thing. It's a high maintenance segment of the swing. It takes a lot of work throughout the rest of your life in golf to kind of keep it tuned up, to keep it, you know, in good working order. And there's several elements, including things that you have to learn to inhibit, so sort of you know, natural impulses that are destructive. You have to learn to inhibit those impulses. So I'm going to go over all of it. And we break transition down into 3 stages. I'm going to start with the inhibition of the destructive impulses. So first thing is, and I'll use Dan, come on in, Dan, as a model. Go down the line view, Dan, probably better. The first thing you have to learn on transition, which is a very common flaw for high handicaps, is the impulse to come over the top. And there's various ways you can come over the top, but the most common way is to fire your shoulders totally in the horizontal dimension too fast, too early. There's actually 2 aspects of this. One is to fire the shoulders too early. Too early means before your hips have shifted laterally to the left, which is the first thing that happens in stage 2. So in other words, people who don't use their hips at all, their legs and hips aren't even moving. They just take their shoulders and they just unwind. In fact, they even do it like I want you to do lower on down here in pivot thrust. I want you to unwind your chest quickly in a spiral shape fast for club head speed. They're doing it up here. So it's a form of the hit impulse. It's wrong understanding of power application, right? So if that's your flaw, if your flaw is to fire your shoulder girdle, is to pivot thrust your shoulders up here quickly, you have to learn to inhibit that. Again, it takes awareness, right? There's no magic move, there's no swing thought, there's no training in it. It takes awareness. Learn to inhibit that motion, right? Another one is to take the angle in the wrist and throw it away. Very common, it's another form of the hit impulse, right? A third is to take this angle in the right arm and cast it out, particularly to the north or northwest, that way. North is toward the ball, west is toward the target. So people get up here and they see the ball there and they take their tricep and they fire the right arm angle as a power source, which it definitely is. But we teach that you don't do it actively as a power source. It's more of a passive opening up from pivot momentum. But when you do use it as a power source and you do it way too early, now there are some tour pros who do it down here, then it's fine. You can learn to do it from there and make, you know, solid contact, hit accurate shots. But when you do it up here, particularly if you do it that direction, a lot of bad shots result. Now if you do it, we call going east, we covered this in module 3. If you do it gently in this direction, that's fine. That could even be correct. If you have a pretty fast tempo, you'll have to use a little bit of tricep throwing action or casting action when you start your downswing in this direction. But that's only for young, very flexible, very good ball strikers like young PGA Tour pros, people like that. They unwind everything unwinds so fast that if they didn't do a little bit of casting out this way to get their arms started in the right direction along with their body, their arms would end up lagging behind the body. They'd be late at impact. They'd be over here at impact, right? Late. Ball would go out that way. So if you're that kind of person, that's less than 1/10 of 1% of golfers, in my opinion. Then it's okay to do that. But if you're not, you just do nothing to open up the angle. The angle will open up from pivot momentum, right? The other thing is, if you face caddy view, they could probably see it better. And go to the top. They do this motion. They see the ball there. They know their hands are back here. They throw their arm at the ball. Do it without turning though. Just throw your arms, yeah, like that. Do it again. So that's the arm moving in the horizontal dimension, independent of the body. Try to do it while you stay wound up. Try to wind up a little bit more. Try not to unwind when you do it. Keep your chest even more down. Yeah, like that. That's a flaw, right? Or so we call that a pulling motion or a swiping motion with the left upper arm, or a pulling motion, or it could be a pushing motion to that direction with the upper right arm, kind of like, let me just demo it, kind of like you could take your right arm, which is in this position, and go like this toward midline, Or you could take your left arm, which is over here, and go this way, cross midline. So that tendency to use the arms again as a power source, a form of the hit impulse, makes a lot of golfers go like this on transition with the left arm, or this motion with the right arm. In reality, it's always both to some degree, although it can initiate with just a single arm. If you move one arm, since they're connected at the hands, right, they move the other arm. So you don't want to do this on transition. You want to do this. Your arms have to go this way. They should never go this way. Your arms have to go this way on transition. They never go this way, right, on transition, right? It's really important. So those are some really common flaws we see people do. The wrist throwaway, the casting, particularly if they're casting toward the north or west or northwest. The unwinding the chest too fast, the shoulder girdle too fast. The arm pull, or the arm push sideways in the horizontal dimension. Those are all various forms of the hit impulse. I see people who are about 30 handicaps and higher who do all four of those at the same time. They do that. They spin out their shoulder, they pull with their arm, with left arm, they push with their right arm, they cast, and they throw the wrist cock angle away, all at the same time. And they wonder, oftentimes they miss the ball completely or barely make contact with it. So those are several things. If you're a high handicap, you have to learn to stop doing. Now, there's one other aspect of this. If you show them from down the line view again, another aspect of over the top is not tilting to the right. At the top of the swing, your torso is tilted to your left. Right now, this is the left. I know it doesn't look like his front. His front is facing the camera. This is his midline facing the camera. He is bent over. Just exaggerate a little bit. He's bent over from the left side of his torso toward the ball at the top, right? That has to reverse, and he has to go from tilting to the left quickly to tilting to the right, which I call tilt switch. Go to the top again. One way of coming over the top, and it's almost always present with an over-the-topper, it's not just that they're firing their chest too early, way before their hips have shifted over and rotated. It's partly that. It's also that they don't tilt switch. They stay here, tilted to the left, and they go like that. You can see how over the top that is. I mean, that's going to be, this is what, an 8-iron? That's going to be a 40-yard pull to the left with an 8-iron. That's severe over the top. I get people stop over the top immediately when I teach them how to go like this. And the feeling at first is an exaggerated intention drill is to only do the tilt switch, like I just had him do there. Tilt left a little bit. So just do the tilt switch to and then unwind your hips, then your belly, then your chest. So we stay wound up with our chests and our shoulders while we go like this and while we go like this with our hips. And then of course if you do that, if you actually did it in reality at normal speed, you'd hit the ball way off to the right. It's the opposite flaw of over the top. It's too much tilting to the right, right? But the vast majority of people don't have that issue I just showed you with Dan. Now, some really good players I work with do, some pros do. They tilt too much, and then their path goes too much out to right field, right? So again, tilt switch would be something like this. If I isolate it without doing any rotation, here's what I'm talking about. The left shoulder rocks up about 3 inches in stage 2 of transition. The right side of the shoulder girdle rocks down 3 inches. So think of your shoulder girdle as a teeter-totter. We never use independent individual shoulder motion in golf. We always have shoulders down and back, part of our upper postural brace. And a tilt switch from here would look like this. You use your oblique abs and your quadratus laborum, your QL muscle, which connects from right here down to the top of your pelvic girdle. Here's your QL. And here you got your obliques. When you fire the obliques and the QL, you go from tilting left to tilting right. It's that motion is really, really a big part of how I teach the golf swing. I would say all high handicaps don't do it at all, or maybe a tiny bit at best. And probably 90% of mid handicaps don't do it enough. They do it some, but they do it too slowly, too late, not enough. All great players do it. At least a moderate degree. The flaw for great players is generally to do it too much, right? So in general, great ball strikers do it just the right amount. And really bad ball strikers don't do it at all or not enough. It's like one of those common universal denominators, right? That distinguishes good versus poor ball strikers. Anyhow, that's the tilt switch. So I'll show them one more time, Dan, so they can see it. 16 right there. Yeah, let's try caddy view. So if he didn't tilt switch at all in slow motion, show what that would look. Just unwind. Yeah, keep going there. See that? He's way outside the plane. That club should be over here. He's about 2 feet outside the plane with his club head right now.